Hrish, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here, David. I'm really excited to speak to your audience.
Yes. Yeah, recently, after we scheduled this podcast interview call, I found that Facebook, I read and found that Facebook, they had to change its corporate name to the Meta, right? It's a
That's
huge
right.
coincidence and it's a huge, incident to relate to your business as well, right?
Yeah, we started SuperWorld almost 5 years ago now. And so we've been in this space for a long time. And it's really great to see a lot of validation in the market. Finally, I think being capped off with Facebook changing their name to
Right,
Meta, mentioned,
right.
which is huge.
Yes, I don't think it's a big competition. It is a big support toward your ecosystem you want to build, right?
That's right. Yeah, we're very
Yes,
open. So we really support anything that's happening in the ecosystem. We're building a world. So anything that
yes,
you imagine is part of Superworld.
yes. Yeah, I thought it is a huge and very, very good change for your business as well in a long term. So to start off, can you please introduce yourself and your journey to founding the Superworld?
Sure. So I'll give you kind of a quick run through of my background and kind of also tell you how we started and why we started Superworld. So I started off my career. I grew up in the United States. I was born in India. Went to undergrad at Rice, grad school in Illinois. I lived around the world a bit between college and grad school. I lived in Madrid, Paris, and London, and I love the world. I love traveling. I love cultures. And so building Superworld is really in my heart. It's very much my passion. I'm very grateful for the opportunity for myself and my team to build a company, a world like Superworld. But I started off my career in management consulting, went to Wall Street. I worked in investment banking. I was at UBS Investment Bank and HSBC Securities. Started off in public finance, corporate finance, and M&A. It's funny how life works out. I started off in real estate investment banking, and we're doing virtual real estate at SuperWorld. So coming very much full circle.
Yeah.
Ended up doing venture capital in New York, and then started a venture capital fund in Europe. So had an idea, wouldn't it be cool to go somewhere in the emerging markets and start a VC fund? Ended up starting one in Ukraine. I'm also on the board of one in Belarus. So I started East Labs in Ukraine, and we invested in about 25 companies in that part of the world. And then was early at a company called TopTal, which is a
Mm-hmm.
talent marketplace backed by Andreessen Horowitz. It's actually now the #1 talent marketplace in the world. It's a unicorn company. So learned a lot there, got a lot of great experience about, how to be scrappy, experimental, kind of help build the rocket ships. It was very, very valuable experience. And then about 5 years ago, I started Rogue Initiative Studios, which is a film, television, gaming, and virtual reality studio in Hollywood. My co-founder produced Call of Duty, Modern Warfare series, and Ghosts. And my production partner is Michael Bay, the action director. And so at Rogue Initiative, we build franchises, feature film, television, gaming, virtual reality, all the way to amusement park rides and toys. And that's what got me into AR and VR. Rogue Initiative is backed by many of the top AR, VR venture capital funds in Silicon Valley. And what happened was, David, about 5.5 years ago, Pokemon Go came out,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
became this huge sensation, as you know. And I got together with my co-founder, Max Woon. Max and I had worked together on the YouTube platform. And we thought to ourselves, you know what? If we can't build the next Pokemon Go, what if we could build a world? What if we could build a place where the next 1,000 Pokemon Go's gets built onto it? And I'm using Pokemon Go as an analogy for adding digital information to the real world. And so that was the original vision of Superworld.
Yeah, wonderful. Virtual real property is a new concept. Can you tell us a little bit about the Superworld? What is it?
Yeah, so Superworld, again, back to the analogy of Pokemon Go, it is a virtual world built on top of the real world that allows anyone to create, discover, and monetize anything, anywhere. So imagine if the whole world was a video game and you could do anything you want. But I have a world, you have a world, there's an infinite number of filters on the real world. So in any location, there could be an infinite number of objects depending on what filter you're looking at, right? So the first part of the analogy of SuperWorld is Pokemon Go, an analogy for adding digital information to the real world. The second part of the analogy is Foursquare, which is a data analogy. So if there's an infinite number of virtual worlds, there's lots of data, right? And so what we believe is users should earn for their data monetization. So instead of play to earn, we call it live to earn. I want Nike to pay you on a run that you take around the block, right? I want your passions to allow you to earn crypto in the real world. So the other thing at SuperWorld is we're about building a better world. So our why is how do we build a better world? And so as an example of that, when you buy virtual land in SuperWorld, we'll plant a tree in the real world. We're partnered with the World Bank in the Caribbean. We're partnered with the UN. But that's a big vision of what we're building this for, is how do we leverage these technologies to build a better world? And then finally, to your question, the monopoly is the third part of the SuperWorld analogy, monopoly the game. So we've divided the surface of the earth into 64 billion blocks. And each block is a digital asset. And so when you buy a block, you get a share of any of the economics, advertising, e-commerce, digital commerce, data, analytics, and gaming. So there's 64 billion properties to pick from.
Yeah, sounds wonderful. Hearing from you, it sounds like you are implementing exactly same thing as real world, right? People can own the land, and then they can, or started some business activity, or they created some digital asset there, but through the, currency, whatever, they can exchange and purchase and sell, right?
That's right. So one thing that gets people who understand our vision very excited is that we're building a virtual world mapped on top of the real world, right? That's an interesting, exciting in itself. However, I think the really compelling opportunity is the online, offline, offline, online activity, right? So if you do something in the physical world, how can you earn something virtually, whether it's crypto or some accessory or some benefit for whatever you're doing physically? And then how can you do something virtually that gives you some benefit physically? As an example of that, last week, we sold an NFT that gave the buyer lifetime membership to a private luxury club in New York and Miami. And so buying that digital NFT, they get access to a real physical place in New York and Miami called Custom House. So it's an example of how do you take activity that's virtual and provide real world benefits, and then vice versa as well.
That's very, very interesting. Yeah, very, very exciting. Yeah. When we make investment, whether it is a real property or the artistic design, whatever asset, there is a two part. People can enjoy the benefit of owning and using it, and the other part is appreciation of value over time, right? I understand you set up the company 2017. So can you give us some idea? Some of the owners, investor, early days, how much they enjoyed in terms of appreciation of value, land or whatever?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when you think about what we're doing on the virtual real estate side, again, there's properties all over the world. We cover the surface of the earth, right? And so as you can imagine, right now it's a land grab. So, people that understand what we're doing are going after and buying the places that they love in their life, in the real world. And I always say everyone has a special place. And so whether that's, Central in Hong Kong or Gangnam in Seoul or, Hollywood in Los Angeles or Times Square in New York, everyone has these places they know and they love. Maybe they've been there, they've always wanted to own. And so those places have, again, been very attractive to people very early on. And then there's others that want to buy their local hometown or their local school that they grew up in, or, different places that are very special to them. So those properties are all sold in Ether. Now, Ether, when we started SuperWorld, 3.5, 4 years ago, when we started the real estate part of what we're doing, 4 years ago, I should say, the price of Ether was $20 to $30 for one Ethereum, right? And so now the price is about today almost $4,700 for one Ethereum. Each of our plots of land is 0.1. So the entry price to buy a plot of land has gone up pretty significantly, right? 200x, right? In terms of the entry price to buy real estate, because we're selling at 0.1 Ether. And so, again, from going from 20 to Ether to 5,000 almost. And then as well, once you buy a property, you can reprice it yourself. And so just like an NFT or any NFT, the actual selling price of your property is based on, what a buyer would want to buy your property at, based on as well, what you're selling at. And so the ability to kind of set prices is ultimately up to you. And so there's properties in SuperWorld that are going for, 1,000 ETH, right? Close to $5 million, something like that. So you can really price the properties as much as you want. And what happens is as people get on the platform, keep buying property, the ones that own the property can, again, flip those properties if they'd like, or hold on to them to, again, keep a share of the income that happens there.
Very interesting. Yeah. So I assume that there are some competitor, and I'm not sure whether it is a right term to use it, but there are some platform which is similar to SuperWorld in the market, right? So what does set SuperWorld apart from others?
Yeah. So, there's a variety of worlds out there. And, all of these worlds comprise what's called the metaverse. And so the metaverse is kind of the combination of all virtual worlds and the internet, right? It's kind of the improvement on the internet in many ways. And so, there's a variety of virtual worlds. Probably the most famous virtual world is called Decentraland. Another virtual world is Sandbox, Crypto Voxel, Somnium Space. There's other virtual worlds out there. The one differentiator of what we're doing at SuperWorld versus the other virtual worlds I just named is those worlds are virtual. They're virtual places. SuperWorld, again, is mapped on top of the real world. So we're in SuperWorld right now. Regardless of where you are on Earth, you're in SuperWorld because you can buy the place around you. You can buy locations anywhere where people live in the real world. So there's real world relevance there. There always will be relevance to places in the real world. And then the other thing that really, I think, separates us in terms of what we're building is SuperWorld is a world. It's not just about NFTs. It's not just about digital assets. It's not just about AR and VR or AI. SuperWorld is a movement. And the movement behind SuperWorld is how do we leverage technology to improve our lives and improve the real world? And because of that, the way that we are positioned in the marketplace is we're the entry point to the metaverse because we enhance your real life. So the difference is SuperWorld is about your real life. It sounds ironic to build a virtual world about someone's real life, but that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it sounds more exciting, I think. It sounds more exciting. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, I like the name, the SuperWorld, actually much cooler than the Meta of Facebook. You took a very good, nice name.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and it is a super world. We are building a world that enables you to create your super world, whatever that means for you.
Very good. So what is your next step and vision for the super world?
So, the next step that we are working on is providing features and putting in place ways that our super citizens, the owners of our real estate and our users, can again create anything anywhere, discover anything anywhere, and monetize anything anywhere. And the thing that we're working on right now, that we're releasing into the market very soon, and we already have it out in the market, but we're doing a big upgrade, is the ability to put digital assets anywhere in the world. So that's already available in our NFT marketplace, but we're doing a big upgrade of that. And so what we're going to enable you to do is create digital assets in SuperWorld or anywhere in another platform. You can create digital assets as well, and you can put those digital assets in real world locations. So you could sell, artwork or music or this podcast, anything, any type of media. You can sell it in real world locations. Okay, so that's number one. I would say the second biggest thing we're doing, besides other similar kinds of things like events and fashion and other categories of digital assets, is we are launching a token. And so that token launch will enable anyone to again have a currency in SuperWorld, will be able to again earn yield based on staking, and so movement into decentralized finance. And then also governance. And so the token will also enable you to actually have voting and to be able to make decisions or help form the decisions that SuperWorld is making as a world.
Sounds very good. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking time to introduce the very wonderful company business model to our audience.
Thanks for the opportunity. No, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed sharing our story.
Thank you.
Thanks.